Hey, homies.
Hey.
You're supposed to say, I'm Chris.
Oh, I think they know by now. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ren. And I'm looking at the wrong thing right now, looking at that video. Sorry. So, one second. Thanks for tuning in to Homebodies Vlogcast.
Where home is where it happens.
So make yourself at home.
Boom.
All right, so what are we getting into today?
You were good with that intro, by the way? You didn't want to do it again? You good?
No, I'm fine. I mean, okay. I listen, I want things to be organic. So if we kind of mess up or whatever, it's kind of I see it as a part of our quirks instead of trying to be so polished. Trying to move away from that. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, we done talked a lot about us, and we feel like we should now transition into talking about
them.
The others, our kids, our offspring,
others,
the next generation. Talk about our kids.
They're not goats.
Talk about our children. I do remember I heard somebody say that one time in class. They was like, kids is baby goats. I was like, for real?
Yeah, they are.
I ain't never know that.
Yep.
But yeah, so we want to just talk about our children and just kind of some things that we did when we had each one, and ways that we were being intentional about what we chose to name them and all of that. Just kind of our hearts for each child and why we kind of moved the way we did. But I wanted to start off first, before we even got into that, and just talk about how the idea of having a child, it's kind of cool if you think about it.
Why are you staring at me?
Because, I mean, I'm just flowing, but the idea of having a child is the father carries the seed. The father injects the seed into the mother.
Oh, so we're getting a health lesson.
Birds and bees. But this idea of me carrying the seed as the father, giving you the seed that you get to sit with, you get to...
Ooh, I'm good soil.
Yes, I mean, pretty much it's like planting it into your earth, into your ground, and it gets to not fester. What's the word I'm looking for?
Blossom?
It gets to, well, yeah, well, I was talking about I guess it gets to develop. The seed gets to develop inside of her earth and inside of her ground, and eventually she gives birth to this seed that I have. Now, most times, the child is going to be a reflection of both parents. The child is going to come out in the image of both parents. Mm-hmm. The child ain't going to come out looking like, well, I can't say that because you've seen some wild stuff. But 9 times out of 10, that child going to come out looking either like the dad or the mom,
Or I would say the family of the matriarch or patriarch.
Let's go with that.
Yep.
Sure. And I think the way the Most High designed that to work physically is kind of cool, because at least to me, that teaches me that his heart and his desire was for, when we had children, to teach us how to reproduce after our image, in a sense. Because when we make kids as one unit, right? man and woman, they will become one. Two shall become one flesh. So when we come together, that's coming together. And we...
Could you be more obvious?
I mean, that was PG. When we come together and we produce children together, those children now are produced after our likeness and they're produced after our image. But I think what's cool is when the Most High gave us a blueprint of what that looks like, when he made the first man, he showed that, yo, I have a desire for humanity, because Adam's name just means human. Mm-hmm. He has a desire for human beings to be made in his image, not on some like physical stuff, but God is spirit. The Most High is spirit. So he desired for us to be made, to be in his image in terms of being upright, being righteous, being just, reflecting his character as his children. So I think it's cool that the story that you see in Genesis of the Most High making Adam is like we're told the thing about Adam that nothing else in the creation he said about. Like nothing else in the creation that he made did he say he made it in his image. But when it came to mankind, he said he made man in his image after
Male
his
and
likeness.
female.
Yes. So with that being said, it's like, okay, the idea that the Most High desired for us to now, and then after that, he told him to what? Be fruitful and multiply.
Which is what he told the beasts of the earth.
Facts.
Bird of the air, and I always get this mixed up. Fish of the sea. That's what we gonna go with.
Now, I don't even think that was only referring to like, yo, just have a lot of babies only, physically. No. That is saying, hey, once again, my image of righteousness, uprightness, my image and my character of mercy, justice, all of these things that I made you like, I want you to now reproduce that in the earth.
Yeah, I see the fruitfulness being, well, my mind goes to Galatians where it talks about, well, it just lists off all the fruits of the Spirit. I think it's Galatians 5.
Probably
22, something like that.
We can pull it up if you want.
We could, but we got a lot to discuss. So, but I would just say go check your Bible yourself and find out, or Google it.
I'll put it up right here.
Oh, that's true too. That works. But in the passage that I'm referencing, need to slow down. Fruitfulness, we know, is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so when he says be fruitful, that's where my mind goes, is that it's not just giving birth, which, you know, it has dual meanings, which a lot of things in the word are. They're not just one, but multiple. It's not just physical, but spiritual. They're connected. And so, yes, it does have to do with giving birth literally, but it also has to do with the fruitfulness that comes from within that is flowed out in the springs of life, like Proverbs says.
Flowed out.
Did I say flew out?
You said flowed.
Oh.
I'm saying flewed out.
Wait, what? So yeah, that's another way to also think of fruitfulness outside of what is just on the surface.
I mean, and then you think about what is fruit for? Fruit is for
nourishment,
and it's for other people to enjoy the benefits of. You go up to a tree, you grab the fruit, and you enjoy the nourishment. You enjoy the, I'm about to say the same word. I'm about to say nutrition. You enjoy all the benefits that fruit gives you, So it's like, I look at children in a way is an opportunity now to continue on that ability to put that type of representative in the earth, right? And the Most High desired that with mankind, with human beings, man and woman. He desired us to rule. He said he gave them dominion to rule over his creation. And he wanted them to do it in a way to where it was according to his image. It was according to his standard. So saying that to say, it's like, okay, well, we didn't have 4 of these things. We didn't have 4 children. Yeah. We didn't have four children. We had 4 of them. So
you need to work on your accent.
What accent?
Children?
Children.
What is that?
I don't know. It's a Georgia accent.
Oh, I never hear that.
Children.
You need to check your sources.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We had 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
And our desire was to raise them up in an environment or in a home that would teach them the importance of understanding that image that we were made in originally, all the way back in the beginning of time, how we were made initially, and what, the Most High desire for us as man and woman, how he desired for us to move in this world. So, our kids, our children,
sorry, y'all.
That is kind of what we are, attempting to establish with them. And one of the beginning ways that we even start planning that out was just something as simple as the name that we wanted to give our kids, what we wanted to call each one of them. So, so we kind of wanted to just talk about the names that we had, that we selected for our kids and why, and just the importance of name in general. Like, real quick before because I'm assuming that you talking about the names, that's probably going to be more of you, because I feel like you were more.
Sure, I can go through every name.
Okay. Well, I was going to say before we even do, I think what's cool is what you see in the scriptures, how name, like, wasn't just what you uttered out of your mouth audibly in terms of what you said, like calling somebody John or Jacob or whatever. But it's like, to the Hebrews, names were,
linked to.
It was linked to reputation. It was linked to your brand, your fame.
And you find it to be a interesting connection between, like, one's name in the Bible and their story.
Yeah. I think about, like, there was a lot of names that had, like, it whenever you uttered their name, it pointed you back to the Most High in some kind of way. So, like, to give you an example, so, like, let's say if you got Isaiah, right? Isaiah or Isaiah. In that name, his name means Yah is salvation, or Yahweh is salvation. Like, in his name. So every time you hear his name, you're thinking about salvation, and you're associating that back to Yah, or the Most High. Like, how just in the name of an individual, you see the character that, they were intentional about putting in there. Jeremiah. And I think that one meant Yah will raise. So just the way they were being intentional about how they connected their names and what it meant in their stories and their reputation, and all of that was trying to point to ultimately the Most High in some kind of way. And I think we kind of desire to do that with our own kids when we selected their names and whatnot. So did you want to go through the name?
Is roll call time?
Shabuya. Yeah. Shabuya. Roll call.
Oh, I forgot that is a song.
My name is yeah.
No, I ain't doing it like that because I would mess up. So we're gonna start in order with our first son, which his name is Judah Tobias, which Judah you're probably at this point more familiar with. When we named him, it wasn't as popular. At least we didn't hear it as much.
I Judah before.
But I feel like now I hear it every. It's not that common, but it's still common. But anyways, Judah obviously means praise to Yah, right? And then his middle name Tobias comes from Tobiah, which I believe is the Hebrew version of this meaning, which is the Lord is good. And
Yeah is good.
Yes, but Tobias, the way it's ending is pointing more to the Greek. Moving on down to our second child, our first daughter, Sabe. And Sabe's name actually is Mandarin for mercy.
And real quick, the way we even picked Mercy, because I had such a strong desire. I wanted twins. And I wanted...
like he can make that selection.
Well, they say if you keep the womb warm for at least 3 months. No, I'm playing. But
twins do run in my family.
They do. I really wanted twins, and I wanted to have twin girls. And I wanted to name each one Mercy and Grace. So for her, she's like, Mercy is kind of like boring to just name somebody Mercy. It's like, I don't know nobody named Mercy.
Don't call it boring. We met somebody named Mercy.
Exactly. We met somebody named Mercy. And I'm like, see that? So
it's not that I don't like the name. It's just I wanted something with a little uniqueness. But
this is true. And she's very good with that. And that's why I let her go through the names, because I feel like that was more of her comfort zone in terms of like just being in her element of being creative. And like, I'm talking about, it was to the point where, well, I'll say it later, but I was going to say.
You ain't even want Sabe to be named Sabe. I had to fight for that.
Sabe, yeah, I was kind of like, what is that?
What is that?
What is a Sabe? Like, what is that? But it grew on me eventually. But I was going to say, like, her picking the names, it was to the point to where she didn't want none of the kids' names to have the same letter, even their middle names. Right. Yep. She wanted them to all be different languages. I'm like, yo.
So let me just explain myself. I really wanted each child to have their own identity in a sense. And I know your identity is not wrapped up in your name, but there is a significance that goes along with your name. So at least that's where we are and that's where we stood. And so I wanted to be very selective, very cautious with what we decided to name them. So whenever I came up with ideas, I had a whole list, and then I would literally...
right. I decided.
But I still received approval from hubby just to see, well, I'm not going to just go ahead and name our child something and you're not with it or you're not feeling it. So I was like hoping for Sabe, like, please just lighten up.
Nah, it grew on me, and I'm glad that we selected it. Her name.
Oh, you ain't gonna share how you test out everybody's name?
Oh.
You gotta tell them.
So the way I determine if a name is gonna work,
go ahead,
is if you can call it like a mom calling a child or something like, Sabe, get down here.
And literally, that was the test. Every time we thought we had a name, and he was like, all right, I have to be able to say it in my voice.
So what was that Z name that you wanted?
I don't know. We're not going to go there.
Zebulon or something like that, right?
I love Zebulon.
I'm going to put it to the test.
Zebulon, get down here.
Nah, that's too long, see? It got to be something quick.
No, it doesn't. That name was awesome.
Get down here.
So obviously I went through a name process, and clearly the one who's in charge of giving the okay.
Sabe for the bill.
He rejected some of my claims.
Sabe for the bill. Sabe works.
At first you wasn't for it though. Yeah, but anyways.
I ain't like it. I ain't like Sabe.
With Sabe's name, just to give a little background, I think I might have said it in other videos, but maybe I haven't. I studied Chinese back in high school. And also in college, it was my minor. So no, I'm not fluent. However,
more like your major.
However, I really love the language and love the culture. And so I knew that I wanted, with my daughter, I wanted to have some type of name that was connected to the language. And so I decided, okay, if I don't want her name to be Mercy in English, let me just put it in a different language. And that kind of started the trend with the rest of our children's names that I am so, I don't have a word for, just appreciative of how the Most High created different tongues, different languages, that exploring names in different languages and how it sounds rolling off the tongue is just beautiful. So I was on a mission that, not only are my children's names going to be different and unique, but they're all going to be in different languages. No repeats. Well, I kind of broke that because 2 of them are repeats, but in terms of languages, but we'll get there. So with Sabe, Mercy in Mandarin, and then her middle name is actually Spanish for grace. It's Annalie. And then going to number 3, which is another girl, Yordani. And Yordani's name is actually Swahili, but it also can be translated in Hebrew, spelled the same way.
So why Swahili?
I chose languages that I had more of a connection with, and because I guess if you want to put us in a category, which we don't really like, you put us in a category of African American and therefore descendants from Africa. And one of, not all, because I don't want to get this wrong, one of the popular languages spoken in Africa is Swahili. And actually, I learned a little bit of Swahili back in elementary school. So I was a little bit more familiar with that language. And I just love the way it sounds. And I was like, oh my gosh, Yordani, that's beautiful. So Yordani's name...
Yordani.
Sure. Yordani's name means Jordan River. So I'll get into the other components of their names that it gets really deep with these names. I did a lot of research. But anyways, Yordani's name means Jordan River, or literally flows down. And her middle name is French. It's Foy. I say Foy, but I think it's pronounced Foi, to be honest. And it means faith. Then moving down to our last and final child that we know of, which is, I said that we know of.
Okay.
You don't know what the Lord can do?
You did say you was having some cramps or something.
Oh my gosh.
Don't play them games now.
That's not it. That's not what I'm saying.
I ain't changing my name to Abram.
This is not a pregnancy announcement, okay?
Please, no.
But okay. Don't stop what the Lord can bless.
I mean, this is true.
So fix your attitude.
I feel like He's blessed us greatly already.
Fix your mindset. Anyways, our 4th child's name is Harvest, which I tried to go easy on people because family just was like, we just done trying to guess y'all children's name because we're never going to know. We're never going to figure it out. All we would just say is it's from the Bible, but that's all we would give them. But Harvest was the easy one because I didn't even put a different type of language or spin on it. I just literally took it from just reading the scripture, Harvest. And his middle name is Anab. It's spelled, the B sounds like a V for whatever reason, but hey, I didn't make up the language. It is in what? I want to say it's in Hebrew, but it's also Arabic, which means grapes, like literal grapes, which, nope, I was going to say something else. And it also means fruitfulness. So, and we kind of talked about that earlier, so it ties right in.
Be fruitful and multiply.
But one of the things I wanted to say with all their names is that outside of just languages, because I wanted them each name to be unique, I tried to pick different elements of things that would point back to the Most High. So, whether it's fruitfulness, whether it's mercy and grace is more about like an attribute than it is like a Judah which his name is a tribe. It's also the name of one of the 12 sons. It's also a place where there was a kingdom. So each child's name has a different component. It's not exactly the same. When you think about your Donnie, it's a river. No one else had a name that was like an actual, like, what am I trying to say? Like a location, like a landmark. And I believe the Jordan River is the river that Jesus was baptized in, if I'm not correct.
That's the river that they had to cross, or Joshua and then crossed over.
Right. Isn't that the river where Elisha, like threw the axe or something like that? I might have that wrong.
Possibly.
But I think if it wasn't that river, it was near that river. But the point was, I wanted significance that when they read the Bible, when it's in front of them, they will be like, oh, hey, like mercy. Oh, grace. Oh, the Jordan River. Look at all the pivotal things that happen like around this landmark, like harvest in this season of gathering, and how the Bible talks about a harvest and the wheat and the tares and things like that. So different elements. I wanted to be creative, and that it wouldn't just be straight on and so direct, but it would be something that they would look out for, and they would definitely see as they read through the scriptures, which, our hope is that they create a relationship with the Most High for themselves, and not because we told them to. I mean, obviously that's how it starts when you're parenting. You're telling your children what to do. You're giving them a guideline, but then you're hopefully giving them skills that when they get older, they can utilize and make decisions for themselves, hopefully that are wise and not foolish.
I think the fact that we were trying to be intentional even before any of them were actually here or birthed yet kind of speaks to the idea of like, okay, if children are arrows in the hand of a bowman or whatever, it's like the way and the direction we're trying to shoot and send our kids off into, we want them to understand and prioritize the Most High and his word and his ways. So we figured the names would kind of help. It's not a guarantee to say that, because they got these names that, they just going to be the best children in the world.
This is all a risk. This is all a risk, because at the end of the day, they're going to make their own decisions as adults.
I think it'd be fitting too for us to kind of share what we learned about our names and what they mean.
You go first. Sorry, Mom and Dad.
You don't mind if I do? My name is Khristian. Khristian with a K. That's what they used to call me in college. Khristian with a K, amen. Oh, you had to be there to understand. Bloomsburg. Anywho, my name is Khristian. Well, we was in 2 different grades.
Don't come in my grade. I still came out in your year, so boom.
I mean, congratulations.
Oh, you're cute. Continue.
So, my name is Khristian, and
Whitaker.
Oh yeah, my name got butchered. They profaned my name at graduation. So my name is Khristian,
like Whitaker.
And it sounds like it's with a C when you just say it, Khristian. And my name always got butchered, like spelling it. Because as soon as I told somebody, it's actually Khristian with a K,
they dropped
immediately
the H.
They do K-R. Oh, no, it's with an H. They should be like, all right, here, you spell it out. Because it's like, I'm confused. And then even in class, I had my professors and whatnot, teachers trying to pronounce my name with Khristian. It's just Khristian, bro. Like, why is that so hard? Because it's just a K. One letter is changed.
The K throw you off.
One letter is changed.
Because in school, you learn about the CH making the ch sound. And now you trying to put a K on it. You messing it up.
Khristian. Anywho, that is what my name is, right? And what's funny is I asked my mom, I was like, how come y'all name me Khristian? My dad's name is Kevin. My mom's name is Jackie.
Oh, you gonna put it all out there?
Well, yeah. All of the children, all the boys were spelled with a K. All their names. All the girls were spelled with a J. So when it came to me, they wanted to make sure that I had a K name, but they wanted it to be something different. So they chose Christian. They just put a K and they kept the H. So it's Christian, regular Christian with a K. And I think what's funny real quick about my name is the fact that all my life I've been identified as Christian. That is my name. I grew up in a Christian household. And as I've gotten older, I realized that, I don't mind being called a Christian when it comes to what I believe, but
and who you're following
and who I'm following. But what I appreciate is the fact that my name is a little different than just a regular Christian with a C. It's with a K. And that minor letter change makes my whole name different. So I say that because that kind of reflects into my understanding of the things biblically, who I've kind of matured to be as an individual on this walk, trying to follow the Messiah, right? I wouldn't, not to get into all of that, but Christian on the surface, it sounds just like, oh, it's just Christian, Christian. And it's like, yeah, but no, there's a little difference. If you're not paying attention, you might miss it. So my name is Christian. That's how my mom raised me or named me. My mom and dad named me that.
She raised you Christian?
Technically, yeah. And what's funny is they was going to name me like Cornelius or something.
Oh, you know what? Let me not.
Cornelius, because there might be some out there, but
it might work for you.
Yeah, I ain't want that name.
I actually do know a Cornelius, but it's from a TV show.
Yeah, I ain't want Cornelius. I like Christian with a K. That's cool, and it's a conversation starter. But yeah, so that is my name.
Leave a comment if your name is Cornelius. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at
Apologies, Cornelius. I'm sorry.
It's just funny because of the show. I'm thinking about the person saying their name. But anyways.
I'm sure your parents love you very much.
Right.
So your name.
Oh, yeah. About that. I ate it. So my name is, how do I start this thing? I started and I say Rennie. So some of you who are watching that may know me, my name is actually not Rennie, it's Lauren. And why did I say it like I was confused? It's Lauren. And the funny thing about that is I remember being a teenager and wanting to have a nickname, but for whatever reason, I felt like Lauren couldn't have a good nickname. Like, you got Catherine has Kathy and, but it's like, okay, so why can't I shorten my name? Like, I can't shorten the first part because it sounds weird. So,
Lar.
Yeah, I mean, you can go with Lala, but I feel like that didn't really go with.
You don't look like a Lala.
No, I don't. Even though I love the nickname though, but for me, I was trying to figure stuff out. I think I remember my first cell phone. I wrote in the title like Ren's phone, and then my dad saw it. He's like, "Ren, is that your new nickname?" And I was like, Dad, like, as a teenager, you kind of like you're ruining like what I'm trying to create here. But it actually came to be that my nickname Rennie came from a friend that like lived not too far. Like we lived really, really close, and we actually went to Bloomsburg together. And she gave me that nickname, and I was like, I don't know if this nickname is gonna work, but it actually stuck so much that when I was dating Khristian, that's how he introduced me. So they didn't even know that my name was Lauren until maybe later on. But yeah, now they still refer to me as Rennie, but my side of the family says Lauren. So that's always interesting. And at our wedding, it was even more interesting because our pastor at the time, our former pastor, he didn't know that my name was Lauren until the day of the wedding. And he looked at the the pamphlet, and was like, Lauren, who that? It was like, oh my gosh. And some people were in like, not uproar, but some people was like, that's not even your government name, but Rennie fits, so I like it.
I got jammed up one time. It was like, who this Lauren? I thought you was married to Rennie.
You cheating?
Same person?
Nah, Rennie's my alter ego. It's like, let me stop. I'm playing. But anyways, getting back to the real name, which is Lauren, I was named after an actress. I can't even get it out. I was named after an actress from the 1940s, 1950s era. She was born in 1929 and lived to be 90. Clearly, I did a little research on her. And her name was Lauren Bacall, but that wasn't even her real name. But I guess that was an actress that my mom really liked. And then my mom was like, you know what? I'm going to make my youngest daughter, I'm going to name her Lauren. So there you have it.
And Lauren, come to find out, means... Where does Lauren come from? You forgot?
Right. Ooh, good plug-in. So Lauren comes from laurel tree or bay laurel, where basically a simplified version, a more simplified version would be, in your cupboard or your pantry, you might have the seasoning laying around. You put it a lot in your soups. It's called bay leaf. That's where my name comes from. And I'm just going to plug this in right now. Yes, that is where Bay Laurel came from. So check out the channel when you have time. Just thought I'd mention that little plug-in right there. But yes, that is where Lauren comes from.
There you go.
Season it.
There you go, all the seasoning. Salt Bay.
That should be my signature.
Bay. Salt Bay. That's the dude name that did that. He was Salt Bay.
Who is that?
The dude that did the thing with the salt.
I never heard of no Salt Bay.
All right, I guess I got to show you Salt Bay.
The video shows Goche coiling his arm and drizzling salt off his elbow onto meat in a way that some say is sensual.
So, just wanted to also mention that even though we're kind of talking about like our names and, the names that we named our kids, we realize that it's not that like, oh, because somebody has that name, like, how many, what'd you say in your camp? You had somebody named Heaven or something like that. And they were really walking around like hell or something like that. They was hell on earth.
I did not say that.
The name was Angel. And they really was a demon.
No, their name, the little girl's name was Heaven. And, I don't know if I would like, when I think of heaven, I think of her. That's the best way I can put it.
So saying all that to say, the actual name that you give a person isn't going to now assure that their life is going to match what they're called. Yeah. The goal is for them to walk in the way that, if there was that kind of intentionality, the goal is for them to walk in that particular name because that name is connected to your identity to some degree. Mm-hmm. But I think what's more important than just the actual name that you name your kid, because you could have named your kid whatever. You could have named your kid Lexus, Porsche, Toilita. It's French.
See, I was about to say, I actually knew or know people with that name, but then you said Toilita, and I was
Toilita.
Like,
it's French. But I mean, it's not about the actual name that you utter, that you call someone. I mean, it can help because it could trigger a connection. Like, for instance, with our kids' names, Judah, Tobias, Sabay, and Ali, Yorodani, I almost forgot, Yorodani, Foy, and Harvest and Nav, right? I made a song to kind of remind the kids about what their name means. And once again, the goal was to hopefully point them and remind them and to guide them back to the ultimate source of life. Remember what our foundational scripture is. Proverbs 24, 3 and 4. We are trying to build our house on wisdom, and we are trying to use understanding of God's word to establish our house. And with knowledge of him, every room will be filled with all the precious riches, right? So because of that, we made a song because we realized that, songs are a way that kids remember stuff. Think about it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's a simple way to remember your ABCs.
Okay, just sing the song.
So we made a song, and
no, you made the song.
I made a song,
and it stuck with them.
And it did stuck. It did stick. It stuck. So the song goes. The song goes. Praise God because He is good. That's Judah.
I thought it was 4
and Tobias.
Never mind.
Praise God because He is good. That's Judah, Tobias. His mercy and grace. That's Sabay and Ali. Will flow down like a river. We believe it. That's Yoradani, Foy. We gonna reap it and then we eat it. That's harvest and Nav. So praise God because He is good. His mercy and grace will flow down like a river. We believe it. We gonna reap it and then we eat it. We might have before we had harvest, but having harvest, but I had to tweak some things.
Yeah, we actually he created the song before we had our fourth child. So when harvest stepped on the scene,
I had to make some changes.
He had to kind of tweak it a little bit so it would fit all of them. But I really, really never told you this, but I really appreciated you doing that because I saw how they are having fun with it and may not even realize in this moment the value of their names and how they were picked out and why and what they mean. I know they know what it, for the most part, what it links to. But it's like having a song with your name in it. That's kind of cool. Like, I don't remember a song with my name in it. But one thing that I remember my mom did was she used to tell stories and put like the names of like me and my siblings and my cousins in it while she was telling us the stories, which made it more intriguing because she was making it up, but it was about us. So I watched them sing that, and then it's like, wow, that reminds me of how like that special moment of feeling like you're included with something fun. So, yeah.
I mean, who what the song say? Where everybody knows your name. No one else. No, it's the Cheers song, the little intro. Everybody wants to go to a place where everybody knows their name.
You watch Cheers?
I didn't watch it, but I knew that intro though. I never really watched it, but I knew that intro.
I can't talk. I watched the Brady Bunch, and it was good.
But so the point of all of that was to like hopefully get them to have a way to remember their names, right? And I was trying to get to the fact that it's not just about the names that they're called, because once again, you could be called. By the way, I knew somebody named. I knew one of my coworkers named their kids Success. And it's just like, man, that's cool, but you putting a heavy crown on that man's head early. And it's like, if he do anything to where he fell, and it's like, he ain't living up to his name. But I think as a kid was more important. Like, so we have our names, right? I think we as parents got to the point to where we're like, we want not necessarily just our actual government names to be conveyed to the kids, but we want the Most High's name or reputation. We want the Most High's character to be imparted or displayed to the kids. That's the name that we want them to see from us and remember, is we want them to see what we do. We want them to see our character when we are trying to walk in accordance with the Most High's ways and His standards, because that's actually in the commandments. He says, hey, look. He don't say, hey, look, but pretty much I think it's commandment 3, the third commandment. He's like, do not take the Lord your God's name in vain. Do not take His name and profane it. And I think when people do that, He's bothered by that, because if you're going to walk around with my brand, aka name, on you, and your character doesn't match up to the reputation that I want you to have, or the image that I want you to bear,
that I taught you to have.
Yeah, then it's like, yo, that's a problem, because now you're making me look bad. What do we say as parents? Don't you be going to our kids when we go somewhere. Don't you be going out here and embarrassing me.
Mm-hmm.
We want our children, when they go out somewhere, to represent us well, because they're a reflection of us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or what's going on in the household. So it's the same way with the Most High. And if I can, I'll read this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ezekiel 36. And he's pretty much, Ezekiel is like rebuking the children of Israel because of how they was just wilding out in their character. It said wherever they went, they profaned the name of the Most High. So let me see. Ezekiel 36. I'll read.
And just before, I guess while you're looking for the verse, I'll just say, as just an added note, that in this time while Ezekiel is rebuking Israel, oh man, I forgot what I thought. What was I gonna say? You said something. What did you say last about Ezekiel? Oh, you said something about the name, and so I think I was just gonna mention that one of the ways that they profaned the name of the Most High was by their idolatry. Ooh, I couldn't even get it out. Their idolatry, like serving other gods and then trying to come back to their God, the Most High. And he's like, nah, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve me and then serve those idols over there. Like, I could see you. Like, I don't care for your sacrifices and all your offering stuff. They mean nothing because you're not obedient. I told you I'm a jealous God, and I don't want you worshiping any other God except for me. Now, we already broke commandment 1 and 2. Now, they broke other ones as well as that, but that was probably the most repeated one, was the idols.
Idol worship. They started worshiping the creation instead of worshiping the creator.
But yeah, I just wanted to give context as that, because I know it's kind of like, well, wait, why are they being rebuked? Because, you may not know, but plug in, check out Ezekiel, check out the law, the Torah, first 5 books of the Bible, and the prophets, because these are the scriptures that Jesus and a lot of people during the New Testament were reading.
That's what they were building on.
Right. So, I know a lot of times we just look at this as just stories, but this is history, and this is also important for us to understand. If they were studying the law and the prophets, then we need to study that as well. I'm not saying the New Testament doesn't matter at all. It's not what I'm saying, because the whole Bible is necessary and significant. But you'll see, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but you'll see how the New Testament kind of mirrors the Old Testament in the knowledge and extracting the wisdom from the Old Testament into the New. You're going to see some repetition in the New Testament. Be like, wait, why are they saying that? Because if you had read back in the Old Testament, you would know and recognize, and hopefully in repetition, you will recognize what they're talking about in the New Testament. But thought that was a side note, but let's get into Ezekiel. Go ahead, babe.
So Ezekiel 36. I'm going to do 22. Okay.
Sorry, we're on the time frame, so.
It's all good. We got a little bit of time. I'm going to read this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so it says, therefore say to the house of Israel, this is what the Lord God says. It is not for your sake, house of Israel, that I am about to act, but for my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you went. And I will vindicate the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned. It says, which you have profaned among them. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord, declares the Lord God, when I show myself holy among you in their sight. So the Most High is like, look, y'all messed up my name. Now I'm a laughing stock amongst all the other nations because y'all was out here supposed to be representing me, and y'all didn't do what I shown y'all to do, what I taught y'all to do, what I trained y'all to do, y'all didn't do that. So I think I'm only bringing that up to say, you know, it's not necessarily that the importance or the relevance is in what you call either yourself or your child or whatever, but it's more important to, you know, as for us as parents to display what name or what reputation we want our kids to see and to try to follow. Because at the end of the day, the kids are only going to learn from the examples that we show them, good, bad, or indifferent. That's what they're going to pull from. So, and sometimes it could be a little difficult when you see things in your kids that are from you that aren't necessarily in step with the Most High's character. Yeah. It's something that is, you know, contrary to that. And then you see it in them and you like, why you got to be so greedy? Or just like, well, that's what I see you doing. You always eating something. You always snacking on chips, Dad. So whenever I'm seeing my kids and my daughters doing things, you know, I want snack. I want snack. Why is that? Well, what example am I showing them? What name am I operating in? Yeah. That is what they're seeing. So, yeah. So, not just drop it like that. Because you looking like, where do I go from here?
No, I was looking like, what do I plug in? Because you kind of said everything once again.
Was that? Sorry, I wasn't trying to.
No, that's not a bad thing. It's like, why do I need to be repetitive if you already said it clearly? Okay. So I don't feel like I need to, you know. I mean, you know, one of the things that we didn't mention that we wanted to share with you guys is that, well, we wanted to talk more about, this was off camera, but I want to remember to say it, about the Play-Doh. Didn't you want to mention about that? Mm-hmm.
You want me to mention it?
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I don't mind.
Because I don't remember the story.
Yeah, I mean.
Just tell it.
Okay. So essentially, we were just talking about how, like, you know, the way you mold your child is not always just by telling them stuff, right? Like, people are going to follow after the example that you display versus just what you say, right? Kind of your actions carry more weight than your words. So a lot of times we don't, as parents, look to that part. Like, most times as parents, I don't want to say most times, but sometimes we be on some like, just do what I do and, you know, don't do, or do what I say and don't do what I do type thing. But it's like a kid, you know, I know I don't like that as a kid. If my parent is telling me to not do something, but they're doing the thing they're telling me not to do, I feel like, you know, that ain't fair. I'm going to follow and kind of mimic what I see you doing. So one of the best ways, while the kids, as much as you can, while they're still young, while they're still malleable, while their minds and their brains are still soft and kind of easier to shape into kind of mold like Play-Doh or like clay, is one of the best ways to do that is by the example that you show them with your actions. Like, the more they see you doing something, the easier it will be for them to kind of be convinced by what you're now telling them on top of what you're showing them. And then when you involve them, shoot, that brings an understanding. And I know I kind of went into the mantra without directly saying it, but I think what I'm trying to get at is, I think the easiest way to mold, you know, children, or really anybody, because it ain't just about children, because think about with us in fitness. The more I started getting into my fitness bag and the more I was being more consistent with going to the gym and working out,
saw the need
she
to
saw
do it for
it.
myself.
And that convinced her to be like, yo, you know what? I probably, you know, need to get on board and do some things. I didn't have to be like, yo, you need to go to the gym. You need to. I just was trying to model it. You know, I wasn't even trying to model it for her. I was doing it because I felt like this was just best for me.
But I saw you as an example, and I was like, and I saw the results, and it's like, oh,
they might be on to something.
Right. I need to do something. But one of the things that I wanted to mention that is in line with what you were talking about with the Play-Doh is it reminded me of the passage in Jeremiah where the Lord tells him to go to see a potter. And this potter is molding this clay. And basically, just paraphrasing, the Lord is talking, or using this example of a potter and this clay that he's molding as a mirroring of Israel and having to reshape them as a nation. And literally to the point of the potter is making a vessel and then smashes it or whatever and has to kind of like in a sense, reshape it. And it just points to the idea of a parent being the one that's molding their children, right? Or being a participator of that. And then having to readjust. Sometimes it had a certain shape and it's like, oh, this is not working no more. Now we have to adjust and do something, move some things around, not just for the sake of the parent and their reputation, but for the sake of the child and saving them from destruction. But that was kind of the relationship dynamic between Israel and the Most High. But it also points to the relationship dynamic between a parent and a child, and really thinking of our jobs as being examples, as servants, is true servitude. To be able to say, okay, well, this is not working. Let me fix it and try to make something else. Just as it doesn't take away from the beauty of the vessel that comes forth. It's just, I have to make some changes in order to save. And not saying that we save our children. When I say save, it's just to point back to the Most High. But the saving is more so implementing his word into our everyday lives. And that, in a sense, is saving them, because you could withhold all of this wisdom that you have. Maybe you're in the word, but they don't know anything about it. It's our job to teach them. And then back in the Torah, it talks about generations and passing on his word to generation from generation. So it's our job to carry that legacy above any other legacy that there is, like, as a people, so that the next generation will have this wisdom to lead, to be leaders, to be the neighbor down the street, to be the good and faithful spouse, to be like a loving parent, like these, or whatever role you can think of that a citizen or a human being can have. Like, we are raising the next generation. And go ahead.
So I think what's interesting is a lot of times people talk about like generational wealth. And it's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get generational wealth out here. I'm trying to build generational wealth. And they think it's just all about stacking money in the bank or in stocks and investments.
That stuff gonna blow.
It's like, yo,
it's gonna
real generational wealth is raising up the next generation in a healthy way, like
in a wicked world.
Yes,
like that's the true fight. When you were talking about earlier about the arrows, that's the truth. We're at war here because the world does not want to live by his word. What? That's bondage. That's not freedom. And no, they're in bondage and they don't even know it and realize it. And so we have the ability to encourage and nurture our children as when they're young and as they get older. And then we start taking on more of a role as they get older to be more observant, still being involved in their life, but the involvement looks different. But the amazing thing about it all is the Lord has given us this leadership role and to steward these children, which, by the way, don't even belong to us. Because as much as you talk about putting the seed in and we carry the seed and we're the earth, and you said it so nicely, but
y'all are.
But at the same time, this is all because of the Lord's work. Like, it's his hand that's on that whole process. He created that process the way it is. Absolutely. And so all glory is due back to him. But the point of all that we're saying, why does this even matter, is because right now you may be a parent, you may have a small child and think what you're doing on a day-to-day basis doesn't matter, or it's tiring. And it is tiring. It is a lot of work. And I've said all those things. I've sat in the corner of our old house and just rocked in fetal position, just crying. Like my children have seen me cry many of times just because of the weight that is on you as a parent and the pressure. And we're not even talking about outside pressure that's unhealthy. We're talking about the pressure of just being a parent and having these young lives that you are involved in. And they're so very precious. And I want to encourage you and implore you to not live in the moment or seize the day as, as we like to take those idioms to mean something different than what I'm about to say, but to take these moments that you have with your children and focus on them and making good use of your time, because the days are evil. Like, they will come and go and pass. Like, not to worry about tomorrow, or we gotta, trying to think too ahead of yourself, and then it causes you to worry. Focus on the now. What can you do now to implement in your home the word of God? Or how can you take the wisdom of his word and make it tangible, make it easier to understand for your children and for yourself? Because a lot of times I find when I'm trying to teach the children something about his word, whether it's by their names or just like a song or whatever method we choose, I find that I'm being enriched too. This is not just for them. This is for us.
Definitely a two-way street.
We all need the Most High. We all need him, not just the children, but like my husband said, we are the representatives. We're representing him. He's the one who placed us in authority over our children. And so let's take up the baton and the challenge of doing the hard work. And sometimes it may feel like the hard work is now while they're really young, versus when they get older and they start making their own decisions. They start having their own thoughts and opinions and things like that. Or some of y'all might have teenagers and be like, no, this is the hard part. Whichever you choose, just be encouraged to stay in there. And it's a war zone, so it's going to be tension. There are going to be arrows thrown at us. There are going to be moments where we out on this field and it's just a lot of wrestling. But don't give up. Don't get weary. Don't fret. Because I don't want to say if you put in the good work, then everything is going to turn out. They're going to be like the perfect example, perfect children. But you would have at least done the work in pleasing the Most High and being obedient in your role as a parent. It's not even about the successes if your child turns out good. But that's a plus. But have we as parents done our job and done our portion to not only plant these seeds, but to help them grow into flowers, bloom and blossom?
Pretty much.
That's it.
I would just say, in short, look to be intentional as much as you can with your kids, or just not even just with kids, but just in general in relationships. As much as you can, look to be intentional. I think you will see more fruitfulness from that. And then it's the effort in that people kind of pay attention to. Like when I was a kid in grade school, I don't always remember like all of my teachers' names. I don't remember what they were called all of the time.
I remember some of them.
But I remember the teachers that treated me a certain way. I remember the ones that was nice versus the one that was mean. I remember that. So what you do is going to speak louder than either what you say or what you're called. So just kind of remember that too, just as you're dealing with life, family stuff, all of that. But yeah, I think that's enough for what you say.
Yeah. It's time to go. Now go on. Live your life. don't go crazy. So this is Homebodies, where
home is where it happens.
And thank you for listening to our vlogcast.
Yeah.
And please tune in for other episodes. And what else do we want to say?
Engage with us, share it, whatever you want to do. But hopefully this information was edifying in some kind of way.
Enlightening, encouraging,
challenging,
and it's something that you can pass on to others.
Thought-provoking.
Thank you for giving us your time.
Your ear.
All right, now get to stepping.
Get the stepping. You ain't got to go home. Or
I'm not saying that.
You probably should go home. Yeah, go home. Go be with your family or whatever.
No, go home, cause it's where it happens.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
go
so
home.
Go home, Roger.
What to say? You ain't no twin.
Oh, I wish it was.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yes, see ya. Bye. We're closing the door.
All right, if you're gonna do that, you gotta like cover the whole thing.